Amy MacDonald, Mr. Rock and Roll. On BBC Radio 2, it's 1:40. Plans for a burlesque club in a former bingo hall in Cambridge have been rejected by the City Council over fears for how it would affect the local area. A company called No Saints had applied for a late licence in order to turn the Gala bingo hall in the city centre into a night spot for over 25s. The owners wanted to open a live venue which would host cabaret evenings, private parties, dance classes and business meetings. They insist this would in no way be a disco, but rather a revelation in the leisure industry. Residents and local colleges objected, fearing that the burlesque bar would lead to an increase in crime linked to alcohol and problems with public nuisance and disorder. What is burlesque? Is it respectable or sleazy? Welcome Lynette Burrows, who lives in Cambridge and doesn't want any of that sort of thing. Thank you very much. Hello, Lynette.
Hello.
And with me, Sapphire Divine, whose clue is in the title. Sapphire is a burlesque dancer. Welcome.
Hello.
What is it?
Burlesque is a mixture of musical, theatrical, very tongue-in-cheek entertainment. Sometimes it includes elements of striptease, and it's very entertaining to the audience.
Is it pole dancing with bells on?
I have never been in a burlesque venue where there has been pole dancing associated with burlesque. It's an art form.
But have there been bells?
I've never seen bells neither, no.
And to you, Lynette Burrows, it sounds, a bit provocative, but, maybe so what?
Well, I mean, I think you have to take account of the fact that it was quite a lot of students objected as well as residents. And I think the difference is that nowadays, and probably always, students have not thought that women taking off their clothes should be entertainment for a lot of dirty old men in the audience and embarrassed women, which it usually comes down to. There's been several accounts in the newspapers by people that are ex-burlesque dancers. I mean, burlesque is a 19th century show. They had, but it was all about social satire before. They used to cross-dress in order to make a serious point about the things which men were able to do, or people dressed as men were able to do, and people dressed as women were able to do too. And it was a way of poking fun at the upper classes, and it had some intelligent context and content, and it has just become largely striptease. That's what draws the punters out. And there's this application said it was for people over 25, so it wasn't for the squeamish. And I think it's low entertainment, and obviously there's always people who will offer that, and they get the girls who they pay, and they all say, oh, it's absolutely wonderful.
If I can just interrupt there, just to correct you, if I may. I think it's really important for people to be educated on what burlesque is actually about. Now, the significant link to striptease is actually from America, where in British comedy it's more based around tongue-in-cheek, carry-on movies, and it's something that's entertaining for all. And I think it's you need to realise that burlesque is out there for the masses now. Just on the cinema at the moment, there's a film, Burlesque, that features Christina Aguilera, and that's actually 12, parental rating, but it's suitable for 12-year-olds. You've also got the Hurly-Burly troupe, which have made it onto the West End, and they've got their own theatre performance now. So I think this old-fashioned view that it's linked to striptease is pretty outdated. And as well, striptease was actually brought in the Moulin Rouge, and that is how it sort of gained its appearance within burlesque. But with burlesque performers, that performance is whatever the burlesque wants to get across to the audience.
And let's have Lynette react to what you're saying.
Well, I don't think that it's old-fashioned at all to think that it very often ends up in nudity, because that's the big selling point. That's the catch. That's what draws the punters in. And there's a lot of people, particularly young people, that don't actually welcome that. The fact that lots of people like it. I mean, lots of people turn out for a public hanging. Let's face it, public taste is based on curiosity and often something not very healthy.
Exactly. I think curiosity is definitely the key. I recently did a class for Warner Leisure Hotels. Now, these are exclusively for adults, and I was at the Thorsby Hall just last week, and it's for the older clientele, and ladies wanted to come along. This was put on for them because they wanted to do a burlesque workshop and they wanted to see what it was about. They wanted to become educated. They wanted to take part in a fun class. And they came along to the hall. And because of the feedback that they gave, the classes now are going to be at the Warner Leisure Hotels across the UK. I mean, and my act that I do is called Strawberry Electric. It ends in QUE. And
well, that's just. I'm very glad you spelt it for us. But we're just trying to get it into our mind.
Yeah.
Lynette, you've heard a bit of this defence? Are you at all convinced? Let Lynette react a second.
No,
Sorry.
I'm not in the least bit convinced, because obviously the pimps that sell these things have got a certain formula, and they know it depends upon what you call the raunchy, which is, poor, passive, cringing women, which is what one of the burlesque people who wrote an article in the newspaper very recently described her role as she saw it after a little while. When she first went in, as she said, she was all, she thought she was empowered, she'd heard all it's very educational, women love it and all these things. And you just have to consult your own experience. You know what it'll end up with. These girls do nothing actually but take their clothes off and spin things attached to their nipples, and some of them have gone to full frontal nudity. Maybe they don't all,
but
there was no guarantee that wouldn't happen in Cambridge.
Lynette, I'll just sort of give you a brief introduction to my act so you can sort of understand where I'm coming from.
What would we would have said here?
Okay, so it's Strawberry Electric. I have a gigantic sparkling strawberry. It's usually booked for corporate events and family events. The music is classical.
Oh gosh!
And it then mixes into wartime music. It incorporates jive dancing, showgirl movements, and then it finishes as a finale with me dressed, no nipple tassels, no twirling or anything like that, with myself on top of the strawberry, and I've incorporated circus skills for my finale.
Yes, but you're talking about quite an innocent sort of act. If you don't take off your clothes, that was not what Cambridge was asked to consider. And I mean,
striptease is not the main element of burlesque, and that's what we're trying to educate you with.
Sapphire Divine, just let Lynette finish her point.
Yes. The company promoting it is called No Saints, which gives you an idea of the tone they're setting it. And there's no guarantee that it won't go the way of most of the clubs. I mean, one of them that has been featured recently was at the Edinburgh Festival. But after it had been there, it went on to nudity.
Okay, everyone.
This is what makes the money, and that's all they're interested in.
Thank you very much indeed, Lynette Burrows. Obviously an opponent, not convinced, even by talk of a giant strawberry. But nonetheless, Sapphire Divine, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.